stress lingers for days. You know, I used to do the pen and paper and I used to sit there like, man, is this gonna be enough? And I'd email it off and I'm like, man, I don't know. They're not gonna hire me. It's gonna be too much. It's not gonna be enough. And I never really knew if it was enough or not because I didn't have a yearly budget. I know I had all these payments going out every month. After, you know, starting this estimating software, and it's just made it all easier. It's made it more enjoyable. Because me in the beginning, I'm like, oh, they want all this money a month for this program, you know, and it's gonna pay itself, you know, tenfold in time and just knowing your numbers and if you're making money or not.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cost of Doing Business show. I'm actually here in Michael Schellhaas. Am I saying that correctly? Schellhaas?
Schellhaas.
Schellhaas.
Like a Z.
His beautiful backyard that looks pretty nice and trim and new. And thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Very excited to have you here and be on the podcast.
Awesome. Well, how long ago was that we ran into each other there at the landscape supply place? Was that like 2 months ago?
Yeah, right around 2 months ago, right over the hill here.
Yeah.
At that JT Landscape Supply.
Yeah, that's right, JT's. Yeah, so we were there at the Teco open house, ran into Michael, and I remembered you from the Contractor Summit last year.
Yep.
Well, give us an intro of yourself, your business, what your team size is, what kind of services you do in your business, that kind of thing.
Well, like you said, my name's Mike Schellhaas. I'm the owner, operator of Schellhaas Landscape Construction. We're a hardscape company. We're design build, so we design it. We do 3D landscape design. So we do offer those services. And we design it, we build it. We haven't really gotten into like any lawn or yard maintenance. We got 2 crews. We run pretty lean, I think. We got 6 guys plus myself. So we're usually 2 3-man crews, sometimes 1 big crew, sometimes a 4 or 2. You know, we'll kind of jump the guys around to whatever makes sense for what's going on in each job. You know, we've grown every year, we've learned every year. And so that's pretty much us in a nutshell, I guess.
What's your favorite bread and butter type project, like the kind that you can just come in and crush efficiently and you love doing them?
Pavers, we've really gotten well, and the guys love doing pavers. So like a nice medium-sized paver patio, sitting wall with a fire pit.
Kind of like what you have right here?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, those seem to be where they're estimated correctly. You know, we know how much time we're going to spend there, and the guys can get in and do their thing, you know, without much supervision from myself. You know, I'm usually, you know, I visit both sites in the morning, kind of get everybody on the same page, and then they're usually pretty good to fly by themselves from that point for the day. You know, we're looking for projects that are medium to large sized. You know, we're still getting the reins tightened up on the larger scale projects.
What is larger scale for you?
Like 100,000 plus.
Yeah. Do you still do all the sales?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you plan on keeping it that way?
I'm not actively searching for somebody to do sales or estimating, you know, but if I certainly came across somebody that had the experience and what I feel is needed to be able to sell hardscape properly and estimate properly, I'd hire them in a heartbeat.
Really? So it's more about the right person than it is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've tried the Indeed thing and all that, and it's produced some guys, but nobody that has direct hardscape experience that can come in and sell or build. All my guys that worked for me, the one foreman, he did have some hardscape experience, but I taught him a lot. All, you know, concrete, we do all finishes of concrete as well. So I taught him a lot of that and how to build these bigger, more complex outdoor living spaces that have a lot of different aspects and amenities involved in them, and not just a patio. He's been with me for 8 years now, and he's really grown with the company and learned a lot, and has become, you know, a really good crew leader for us. Nice.
And is he the longest employee?
Yeah.
Okay. How long ago did you add your second crew?
We've been 2 crews for 4 years now. Been in business this is our 11th season. So the last about 4 years, we've been trying to tackle the 2 crew deal. It came with a lot of lessons learned.
I was going to say, like, yeah, did you have double the production, double the profit, half the profit? Give us a picture, you know, how did that go?
Honestly, I don't know because until SynkedUP, pen and paper estimates, used a multiplier. We did kind of start tracking time 2 years ago with a generic app that only, went so far for us. But, it's like you get a gut feeling when you're losing or making money. And that's kind of what I would go on. And is there money to fix stuff? Is there not? We're doing bad if we're not. And if there is stuff to fix stuff,
The bank account barometer.
Right. Which is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible barometer.
Dude, I think unfortunately, there's more contractors that run by that barometer than any other.
Right. And so as the projects got bigger, I kind of realized like I need some kind of like system to help us know exactly how we're doing.
When you came to that realization, what did you do? What did you do after that? Stop doing pen and paper, or like what was your process?
We did some sub work for snow removal for another company in the area, and they had us using to log all our services for snow removal accounts. And so I kind of picked their brain and started down that road. It was the month of March when I decided to try and, okay, let's get this system in place for this year, and it was just too late. The phone started ringing off the hook. We do some home and garden shows at the time that we were doing in March, and I just could not find the time to sit down at the desk. It was literally like you had to schedule like 2 weeks, where you had to go through these classes, and you kind of had to hand build your yearly budget on paper and then submit it all. It may have changed by now, I don't know. So that kind of fizzled out. And then it wasn't until, 2 years later when I'm like, okay, I need to start something like that in October. And then that's how I found out, about SynkedUP and kind of what you guys were about. And at that point, it just kind of, the stars lined up, and it made one phone call, and it all just kind of developed from there without much me having to kick doors open. And, it all just kind of evolved organically, I guess.
From the time when you made that phone call till the time you were like, dude, I'm building an estimate by myself, and I know it's right, and like the system's running. How long was that?
Not even 2 weeks. I talked to the one salesman, Gene. The summit was a couple days later, and it was just like dumb luck almost.
Yeah.
I had no clue SynkedUp was so close.
And 2 hours away from
2 hours away
yeah.
from me. And so it kind of, through the conversation with the salesman, Gene, I said, oh, well, you guys are, from what I make is from Altoona. Gene said, well, yeah, well, where are you from? I said, Pittsburgh. He goes, oh, you got to go to this summit. He's like, I'm literally, I have my bags packed and I'm leaving as soon as I hang up this phone. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, I got to go to the summit. And so I went to the summit, and that was great, and the vibe was awesome. The fire to keep doing this was like literally relit. I was excited. I signed up, that day at the summit to get on board. Before the summit was even over, we left the hotel. I had an appointment with Chris to do the yearly budget. And that was like not even a week later, and just by the chat window and building just a couple simple templates, it was really easy. And I cannot just jump on a computer and like find my way through, but it was honestly a million times easier than I thought it was going to be. And I literally had my first start to finish. I got the phone call, scheduled the appointment, met with them, did a little bit of design work for, a little paver walkway and a paver patio, estimated it through SynkedUP, nailed it down. That was all within literally 2 weeks.
Dude, that's what we go for every time, right? We got Gene and Kyle sitting right behind us here on the wall. I'm really excited about how the summit lit that fire again for you. And like personally, my experience, I have moments in my story that felt the same way. Go to an event and just feel like, ready to go back at it. And it's like, it's usually not the class or the thing, it's just the camaraderie and the networking of other people that do what you do. And being inspired by the way they solved a problem, or maybe you talk to someone over dinner that they're dealing with the same issue you're having, and oh wow, I never thought about it that way. It's just an uplifting experience, I think.
Oh, it absolutely is. You get that many like-minded people that are there for one goal, and that's to learn and build and grow. You kind of enter into that vibe, and it's almost impossible to leave disappointed or discouraged or feeling like you're just out there doing something and you don't know if you're doing it right or wrong.
Yeah, some things you might build confidence that, I'm doing it right. And on others, you're like, dude, I'm not doing this right, and I know what I'm gonna do differently.
Right, and that's a lot of what I picked up from there. Like I said, up until not even a year ago, I was pen and paper, doing my estimates, not really tracking time. And it was like I was just beating my head against the wall. On paper, it seems like, you know, oh, well, there should be this amount of money at the end of the job, and it just seems like there isn't. And, you know, we got all this overhead and dump truck payments and excavators and skid steers. And I mean, we got it all, you know, for 2 crews, 2 of everything. And
Well, like you were saying about the motor podcast, like tell that story before we started recording, the $200,000 excavator thing.
Right, yeah, so, you know, I'm here, you know, just feeling like I'm pounding my fist on my desk, like, oh, these payments and this and that, how do I get ahead of it? You know, and so I came across Andy Malder's Malder Outdoors podcast on Sunday nights, and, you know, I had followed his business on Instagram and really liked a lot of his work. And I'm always seeing his brand new equipment, and I'm like, oh, he's got all the toys. So you can comment on his podcast, and somebody asked Andy, how do you justify that huge excavator sitting around 6 to 9 months out of the year not using it? And he said, well, you know, it's not really overhead. You know, we bought the thing outright. And he went on to say that he just literally cut a check for $200K for this excavator for this, you know, one of their bigger jobs they did. And I instantly was like, how in the world did this guy say it? Because you know what, if you have $200K in the bank, guess what you got? You got $300K in the bank. If you're cutting a check for $200K,
Yeah, right.
you're not, I know I'm not ringing my bank account out like that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I asked, I commented, I said, how in the world did you save $200K in the hardscape industry? And I went on to say in the comment, you know, I must not be charging enough. And, you know, SynkedUP had been one of the sponsors for the podcast. And he said, well, you got to check out SynkedUP. They'll show you how to save that kind of money and build, you know, a business that you know you're being profitable. And I was like, that's the ticket there that I need to get this company. Because we were growing every year. We grow every year. And I'm like, well, we're growing, but it doesn't, you know, the bank accounts aren't growing. Yeah, we're buying equipment and we're hiring guys and they're getting raises. And, you know, I'm trying to treat them the best I can so they stick around. And you know, so he prompted me to check out SynkedUP. And I'd seen your face on Tussey, and I'm like, and so as I dug into SynkedUP, I'm like, well, he used to work for Tussey, so he must have jumped ship or something. And I said, SynkedUP must have reeled him away. And so I didn't really know what the connection was there, but I knew you used to work for Tussey. So then I Googled, you know, SynkedUP, and, you know, and then there was, you know, oh, request a demo. So I requested a demo and hooked up with Gene on a demo call 2 days before the summit that I didn't even have no clue was going on.
That's hilarious.
And he's like, "You're from Pitt? Oh, you got to get into this summit." And so I literally
That's awesome.
literally called my wife, was like, "Do we got anything going on Thursday or Friday?" And so I literally signed up as soon as we got off the phone and called
That's
the hotel,
awesome.
and it really did happen organically. And that's a fun way to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. After you signed up, did that successfully come to fruition? Like, dude, if Andy's saying that, I'm going to do, like, that's the vision I have for my business. I want to get to the point where I can write a $200,000 check one day.
If I want what somebody else has, I have to do what they did to get it. So he said SynkedUP, I checked it out, and by what you guys were saying on how to know your numbers. And I didn't know. Like, when you said know your numbers, I was like, oh man, these guys are gonna touch a nerve here. You know, because I never knew. You know, when the job was over, I just had a big pile of receipts, you know, and never had time to really organize and do any of that. But once I saw the program and how it worked and all the information it gives you and the time tracking and materials and how quickly you can do an estimate now. I mean, I can have a $50,000 project estimated in literally 8 minutes.
Wow. How long did it take you before?
A lot of before was just, is that enough? Should I add more? Should I take some off? Is that enough time? And it was a lot of that, 35 minutes of that.
Yeah.
You know, so it would take me an hour,
Yeah.
you know, by the time I get everything all written out. But yeah, it's, you know, once you get your item catalog built, which it kind of happens, you know, as you
Iteratively, yeah.
you know, you don't sit there for days on end putting everything in. You know, you come up on it and, we need this for a project. Okay, let's get that. And you and hit new item, and it
Yeah.
automatically goes to the item catalog, automatically goes into your estimate, and you just put your quantities in. And honestly, I look forward to doing it. It's like easy, and it provides confidence, and it's like when it spits out that number, that's the number. That's the number to cover all my overhead and make some money, and I can see, okay, net profit, that's our goal, is to keep that net profit at what it's estimated at, and being able to see during the job, like live action.
Once you have that budget and you're like, oh, that's the number, then there's only two things you got to do. One, keep that budget up to date.
Yeah.
Because if your insurance goes up, you buy another truck, whatever, like the budget's got to know about it, because every dollar that your business spends that your budget doesn't know about, your profit goes to pay for.
Right.
And so there's only two things you got to do. Keep that budget updated, and then, like you said, watch that real time, or watch that estimated versus actual time, material, etc. Because if your template or your estimating gave you 100 hours, but it took you 150, you want to know that before the job's even done.
Yeah.
Even if it's 110,
Oh, yeah.
you want to know that ASAP, because that is the only way. Once you have that budget done, either the budget being out of date, or you're just not hitting the mark with your quantities on your estimate, is the only thing that will sabotage your profit from that point. If you close off those two leaks,
yeah, it's gonna work.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we've experienced that, and as the easy part.
Right, nobody really struggles. Well, usually you don't struggle doing materials. It's a calculation.
Right, and a little bit extra in for waste, and
time is the tricky one.
Time, yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, you're the busiest person on the face of the earth. You're not on time to track. You're not looking back. So when you're sitting there like wondering, man, is that enough of time? Now you can just go back. Well, hey, 3 months ago we did a job about like that. Let me go see what that one took. 68 hours. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, you definitely learn, and you can go back and, say we did a 400 square foot patio and we went over by 25 hours. You can go back and look at that and say, okay, let me add in, a few more hours, or try and find what the difference might be, because, not all rules of thumb apply to every job.
Yeah.
All the jobs are built the same, but they're not estimated
But that's
the
a
same.
data point. You can look back at it as okay, that was similar, this was different, and it's a data point.
And, the production rates is something I haven't really gotten into yet, but definitely want to. Just for some square footage reference points.
So humor me, for the benefit of everybody listening. What is the thing that has prevented you from doing the production rates so far?
Time right now. Just having the time to sit down, and it could be very simple and take 10 minutes. I haven't gone that far yet to even figure out. I'm just assuming that it's going to take me days.
Okay, let's do it right here, real time, right here on the podcast. We're going to get it done. Kyle, are you listening? All right. Yeah, I saw that.
Right. It's probably just so simple.
Now here's for everybody listening and for you. So a lot of people think they don't know their own production rates. Here's the thought exercise. What is the kind of job you can bid in your sleep? Like you do it all day, every day?
Probably retaining walls. We've been doing a ton of those since we started.
Okay.
We've done a lot of patios as well.
Let's go with the patios one. Like let's just pick a size, 400 square feet. How many days would it take you?
I would probably say start to finish 4.5 days.
4.5 days with how many people?
3 guys, estimated on 10 hours a day.
10 hours, so 30 hours a day, 4.5 days. You can't bid in half days, right? Got to bid in full days.
Really?
Or if you bid in half days, like when you get back to the shop at 1 in the afternoon, are you going to go produce billable revenue that will cover the rest of the overhead you haven't covered yet because you only bid
No.
Exactly. So anyway, that's another topic. So let's just say 5 days, 30 hours a day, it's 150 hours. Take your 400 divided by the 150.
400 is the square feet of the patio, 150 is the man hours.
3 square feet per man hour. There's your production rate, at least as a baseline.
Yeah.
And so now you just go plug it in 3 square feet when it's done.
And so there's an actual category for production rates, and you save that, and then do you just use that as a reference, like a data?
Well, then
or
when
can
you bring
you
it in
implement it into your estimate?
Yeah, literally, you can build a template with a production rate. Then when you're bidding a job in SynkedUp, drag that template in and just type in your square footage. It's 400 square feet, 600 square feet, and it's calculated.
It'll tell you man hours. See, I like it.
So you're going to get from 8 minutes down to 2 minutes.
Right. And it only took 3 minutes to learn that.
But you can do that with material. Like for that 400 square foot patio, how much stone would it take? I don't know, 18 ton. Okay, 400 divided by 18. Bam, there's your production rate.
Yeah.
I run into that a lot where people say, well, I don't know them yet, and I'd like to get to the point where I know them. And I'm like, actually, yes, you do know them, at least for the jobs that you bid regularly.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just a matter of like, take the years of experience you have and pick a hypothetical size of a job, and then ask yourself how long would it take, or how much material of this or that would it take, and then divide it by this measurement, usually square footage or lineal footage or something, and bam, you're done.
Yeah, and I guess even maybe a better way is to just look at jobs you've already completed.
Yes, that's better. The example I just gave you is a baseline, like if you have no data.
Yeah.
Better is if you look at a 400 square foot job that you actually did and look at how many hours it actually took you and do the math.
Yeah.
Even better is build a library of 5, 10, 15, 20 of those jobs and average the production rate out across all of them.
Yeah.
Or you can even split them out from difficult access versus easy access.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, you know, like I said, you know, not every rule of thumb works.
No.
You know, if you're having to climb up a hill that's, you know,
So you have
200
to
feet long,
do those variables.
that slows you down a lot more than you think.
And so you can pick a few jobs that were really terrible access and what was the production rate of those.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Versus simple square design versus curved cuts. You know, that also impacts it. Fun exercise.
I knew it would be simple. It's just, I'm hard-headed sometimes and stubborn and stuck in my ways, and I'm like, I'll get to it.
I wouldn't say that. You made some pretty good progress in the last year, man.
No, yeah, I really feel like I have. It's like a ball of momentum I want to keep rolling. Yeah. You know, not to get off topic, but after SynkedUP, I was like, you know what? I'm booking a hotel room and going to the Hardscape North America. And just because it's something I always wanted to do, and then I get there and I'm like, well, you know, money, and I don't want to spend the money, and you know, this time of year I should be saving money for winter, and so I finally was just like, forget it. I'm going just to do something new, to get something new.
Yeah.
And again, that continued to just like solidify that, you know, heading in this direction of just doing things differently and learning new systems to help build, you know, help me get to where I want to go, you know, with this business.
Yeah, our comfort zones are our enemy.
Definitely don't want to be uncomfortable.
There's a couple questions I'd like to ask just for prodding for bits of wisdom and lessons you've learned. Like in your business journey, like what would you say was the toughest challenge you've overcome?
It's probably almost a daily challenge, and that's probably balance between work, family, life. As a business owner, I can quickly get caught up in the evening, you know, doing emails or design or estimate, and I'm getting all that side eye from my wife. Like, why are you still working and it's 8 o'clock? But as a business owner, that's just a gear that I think we all have, and it's a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. But when I first started my company, I was single, lived alone. You know, I was by myself, and I was like riding on cloud 9 for the first, you know, few years. And my mission every day was to grow this business and to steer it in the direction I want it to go, and have it develop in my vision, you know, for the company. So it was, you know, 5 a.m. up, get an estimate out the door, and then head out the door and then work on the job site, you know, and train the crew, and then in the evenings, get home, get a shower, Red Bull, Advil, out the door to go, look at jobs, and then, you know, get home at sometimes 7, 8, 9 at night. You know, obviously 11 years younger, a lot more energy, and that's how it was for the first few years. And then life happened, and got married and kids, and I got 3 boys now, and they're all very active with school and soccer and sports. You know, so there's not all the time in the world in the evenings for me to just work constantly. Yeah. You know, so it's not fair to them that I'm just, you know, working almost too much. You know, one thing I remember you guys saying was work less and make more money. And I was like, yeah, teach me that. So it's been balanced, you know, because I struggle. Like I have that gear of, all right, well, you know what? I'm just sitting here. I'll just, you know. Yeah. And then 2 hours later. Yeah. And then I start to get burnt out, or, you know, when it is actually time to work and the crew's on site, I'm like, man, I'm just like spent already. And as I've grown, just as an individual, I've noticed that how much I need balance in order to do all the things well. Because I've been to the point where I'm like trying to do it all mediocre, or do a couple things really well, and that's what I'm after. Is there anything that you'd say genuinely helped in that battle? It was probably just a lot of frustration on getting burnt out, and you know, because there's just so many things that can stress you out as far as a business owner.
Yeah.
And just those things piling up, and it's going through a stretch where we'll go through these stretches where for like 3 months, it's like there's something broken or broken down that needs fixed, or trucks are, in and out of the shop left and right, and jobs are taking longer, and so it's
Feels
just
like
going.
the urgency is just piling on.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like you're running 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was just through those experiences that I'm like, I need to adjust because I can't keep this pace.
So what's one thing you changed?
Fortunately, I've had some guys work for me for a number of years now, and they have really grown as far as their capabilities of building these projects. So, I led by example and trained the guys and learned how to relinquish control. Because I was like, I need to be there to make sure it goes right. So I don't want any problems. And so once I, got to a point in business where I felt like, okay, just let them go. Let them do it. They're not going to do it exactly the way I would do it, but the jobs look beautiful. The customers love them. I have zero reason to not believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hard for me to walk away from a job site and be able to focus on sales and design and estimating and not worry that, well, are they going to get this much done today, or are they going to do this right, or are they going to make those nice sweeping curves that I like, So it was a lot of just me relinquishing that control and trusting my crew.
Yeah.
Thank God we've not had many issues with any jobs, little nickel and dime stuff that you can fix, chipped pavers, but there's never been an instance where, we've had some bad blood with a customer because things aren't the way they thought they were going to be, or, whatever. There's a million things you can run into that can cause issues, and like I said, I've always been a creature of lead by example, and they'll fall in line with that. So I'm overly blessed with the guys that work for me, and it's a team effort. I always use like a football team as an analogy for the guys,
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Since day one, I've had a business mentor.
Really?
Oh yeah. One of the first things he ever said was build your online presence. And this was probably like 2013. It was in the heat of like really social media becoming like more of advertisements and stuff like that than asking your friends where you're going on Friday night. And, he does an extensive research on where his leads are coming from and what the new younger demographic, how are they finding contractors. He's built himself a really nice business and has a lot of help to figure out all those little statistics. And one of the first things he said was build your online presence and get a Google ad and get reviews.
Get reviews,
and
that's
get
great.
positive reviews.
Yeah. Who is this guy?
His name's John McCloskey. He owns J. Francis Company.
Okay.
They've been in business 30 plus years.
I don't know if I've heard that name.
Yeah, they're more like interior renovation, kitchens. They'll do additions.
Sure.
But they have architects and designers that work for them. And they're really a one-stop shop for design and build.
Sure.
And that's where a lot of what I do is I'm just, mimicking what his company offers. They do some outdoor living spaces, and they do some really nice work, some really trendy stuff, up-to-date design. And he's just been a plethora of great information, and he even bounces stuff off me now over the last few years, which is kind of cool to, help him out on some questions and stuff. And so, I talk to him a lot and constantly asking him, hey, how should I tackle this and this and that? And he's always been more than willing to help me out,
If you could go back to the day that you started in your business, say the day you got your LLC, whether that was the day you started or not, what is one thing you would do differently?
I wish I would have gotten on this technology kick years ago, even 4 or 5 years ago. I thought about that question, and like I said, I got a business mentor from day one, and I used him.
Huge.
I used him, and if he said do this, I did it. I didn't say, oh,
Find 3 excuses why you can't.
Right. You know, and like I said earlier, if I want what you got, I have to do what you did to get it.
Exactly, yeah.
So who am I to sit there and not take this man's advice when he's built an incredible construction business?
He's got what you want.
Right.
Exactly.
So tell me how you did it.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah, after, starting this estimating software, and it's just made it all easier. It's made it more enjoyable. Like I said, the confidence also relates into less stress.
For sure.
By far. I didn't think I would have the reaction I did. Because me, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, they want all this money a month for this program, and it's going to pay itself, tenfold in time and just knowing your numbers and if you're making money or not.
And the intangibles of not being stressed about every quote.
Right, because stress lingers for days. I used to do the pen and paper, and I used to sit there like, man, is this going to be enough? And I'd email it off, and I'm like, man, I don't know. They're not going to hire me. It's going to be too much. It's not going to be enough. And I never really knew if it was enough or not, because I didn't have a yearly budget. I know I had all these payments going out every month. And especially with a family now, like trying to juggle all that. Back to the balance thing, and if they got a soccer game and I'm stressing about work over there because I don't know. I'm not there at that soccer game. I'm in my head getting all ground up because just being stressed out on. And I believe every business owner goes through that because it all falls on our shoulders to have a successful, profitable business, and I'm responsible for 6 other incomes for families that aren't mine. Like, I have to make sure that, this is a successful business so that they just don't end up, well, you know what, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
When I started this thing, I had to, I worked for this old Italian and he did mostly retaining walls and concrete work. And he was an old school Italian guy and just had his foot on the gas constantly to get work done. And it just felt like you were instantly replaceable. And when I started my business, I had a goal in mind that if I ever had employees, I would treat them like they mattered and talk to them with respect and teach them and be a co-worker with them and not some over-the-top ruling boss. And I wanted to eliminate, because you hear a lot of customers say, oh, I gave this contractor money and I haven't heard from them for a month, and they showed up for a week and now they've been gone for 2 weeks.
All the time.
Right, and I wanted to eliminate that bad name that customers have with contractors, and I wanted to provide employees with, a good, respecting job.
Yeah.
It's been very rewarding.
It sure is, especially when your little, in the beginning dream that you have starts unfolding and materializing and becoming reality. Like,
oh yeah, I'm like literally living in the days I used to daydream about.
Yeah.
And I started my business like literally with 2 shovels and a borrowed dump truck. I didn't even have my own vehicle. I would call a friend for a ride, and I started loading shovels into their trunk, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to get down to this side job down the road. I'm trying to get it finished up. And I'd gotten side work before, and it was just side work, and that was it. But this time, I don't know, it was kind of different. So I'm doing this side job, and then I had 2 more jobs on the same street, and then they added on more work at this side job. So I'm doing it on the weekends and on, after work, after working for this Italian all day, getting yelled at, bumming rides to there, because I had this old Jeep, clutch went on it, and I knew this guy, he'd always said, hey, you ever want to sell that Jeep, sell it to me. It's got that Dana rear end in it. I want that Dana rear end. So I'm like, hey, I just sold it to him, and I'm like, I'm going to get something else.
Yeah.
This side job, I was getting that done. I got 2 more jobs on the same street before I was done with that one. And I was like, I should, I'm going to buy a pickup. And I bought like some 1999 F-150 regular cab.
Off you went.
Yeah. And it like just kind of went from there and has grown every year. And
well, congratulations on your success. And I just want to say thank you for, your putting your faith and trust in us back then almost a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
Half a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And we look forward to, being a part of your journey going forward for many years.
Oh, no, absolutely. So I'm glad to be aboard and look forward to growing continually and going to the summits and just being a part of the SynkedUP crew.
Right on. Where can people follow you?
So we got Instagram, Schellhaas Landscape Construction. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You know, we got a website. You know, you can Google search us. We're all over the place online. We got a page on hows.com.
Schellhaas, which is Schellhaas.
Correct.
I'm reading it off your shirt.
Yeah. Yep. Schellhaas Landscape Construction.
Cool.
Look us up.
Well, thanks a lot, Mike.
All right, man. Yeah.